So this next video is going to be on JavaScript classes. Even though they don't add a whole ton of functionality in the sense that they're really just syntax sugar over functionality that's been there, they are a pretty big topic. So this probably isn't going to be the most thorough talk. I'm going to try to do a whole series devoted to video classes in the near future. But in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of cover what's going on with them, how they work, and how they're different in some ways from function expressions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and make an example file, something like classes.js. And so you've got like this kind of like pretty clean, pretty simple syntax, especially if you're coming from an object-oriented language where you can have like class foo, and it takes like kind of looks like an argument or an object there. And from there on, you're able to add these methods to the class, including a constructor method, which is pretty nice. So you could have like the constructor taking age and height or something like that. I guess we can name this person. Class person takes an age and height, and then with that it sets its like this age to age and this height to height. So if you have any experience with a language like Ruby or Python or PHP, this looks probably pretty familiar. Like I said, it really is, it's not making JavaScript an object-oriented language. It's still like a prototypal inheritance language, but it's giving you a lot of that nice familiar syntax. So then we can go ahead and yeah, so now that we've got it, we can go ahead and do like, var person equals new person, and we'll pass in like a number like age and maybe a string like 6 feet or something like that. And then let's say that we console log this age and this height afterwards, and go ahead and save that. Run node on classes, and let's say we got, oh, here we go. So we get an error that class is not yet supported outside of strict mode. So for those that watched my other video, when we tried to use let, we saw the same thing, which is basically all of these block scope declarations aren't available yet unless you put something in strict mode, which is pretty easy. We just go to the very top of the file and we type use strict like that. So let's go back and run node on it. Cool, and we'll just see that it outputs the age and the height just like we expected. I guess a difference that's probably worth pointing out right off the bat is that, in JavaScript, function declarations, they do hoisting, which we're all pretty used to, so the declaration will get hoisted to the very top. That is not true with classes here. So if we did something, for example, like took the class instantiation, and we went ahead and moved it above the class declaration and ran classes on it, we're going to get an error. Person is not defined. So for whatever that's worth, that's just worth noting that it doesn't hoist like we're used to. So you really have to have the instantiation declared at some point after the definition of the class. So it's got this cool constructor. You can also have methods on the class, kind of like we'd expect. You can have something like get and set methods, so we could have like get age, and then simply we could just return this age. So then we got this new person. Let's take away this console log for now, and then we like take our person and we console log person dot I think it's just person.age. Give me 1 second. I might have the syntax wrong on this. Let's go ahead and save. Run node on it. This age equals age. Cannot set age. Oh, okay, cool. So these getters that we'll see here require setters in order to set the age. So we could do something a little bit simpler here. Like, for example, we could return this. Let's see. Trying to make it simple. Let's say we go back to this being something like foo, and then we just take a first and a second, something like that. We set these things, to the first. We set this one to the second. This is just going to be a little bit more of a contrived example. And then instead of just returning one of those things, we can have like a get on total, and that's just going to return this first plus this dot second, something like that. We can do a foo equals new foo, And then we can just change these, right, to like 5 and 3, something like that. And then we can console log total. And run node on that. Oh no, person's not defined, hold on. There it is, foo.total. Run node on classes, and it returns 5 plus 3 is 8. So we can get into getters and setters. I just kind of wanted to show a more simple example that you can just have these things like these get methods here. You call them just by their name, and as you would expect, it does a return for you. Okay, cool. So now that that is set, we can also do some things like you can extend classes with each other. MDN's got a pretty cool one. Like really simple, right? So you've got something like class cat, and you just give it in the constructor a name, and it sets just this name equals name, and then it also has this method called speak. So you notice this one is not a getter or a setter; it's just a method that can be called, and this does like console log this name makes a noise. Cool. So we've got this method on it now. So we could do like, var cat equals new cat and pass in a name like meow. Sorry for my lack of creativity here. And then we could do cat.speak. Go ahead and save that and run node on it. It says meow makes a noise. So what's cool here, just like you'd get in another object-oriented language, is you can get rid of these, and then you could later do, class lion extends cat, and then inside here you can override any method you want. So you could take speak, and you could do like the super keyword, right? Like super.speak, and then you can go ahead and do something like console log this name plus roars, something like that, right? So now down here we can do var meow equals a new lion with the name meow, and then we can do meow.speak and go ahead and run node. And so this is the super call, and then this is the lion's call. So if we wanted to go ahead and do something like just override it and not do anything else, we can get rid of that super. And now run node on it, and now lions roar, whereas cats will just make a noise. So again, there's a lot more going on with classes. They do allow mix-ins, getters and setters, all sorts of different things like that. They have static methods as well, but I really just wanted to give you like a very, very top-level overview. And if you're interested, leave me a comment, and I'll happily do a more in-depth video series on classes.